So I want to transition into something a little more like a little more on the nose here. You first of all, is the last time we saw each other in person, was it in Tampa? Was that the last time we've seen each other? Because it's been years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Wow.
I saw you in Orlando at that show.
Was that but I drove out to Tampa to hang out with you.
Yeah, and you did another
Remember?
podcast thing with my show partner and I.
Yeah. And we just like hung out. It was all in the same because I spent like an entire day there. But
Right.
is
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
that the last time we hung out in person?
No,
So that
right
was
after that, we went out and did a comedy show in Orlando at a bar, place
okay.
called like, I think of the Rebar is what I remember it being called.
Okay. So it has been that long though, because
Yeah.
that was in like the same wow, dude, it's been
Mhm.
way too freaking long.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this, and this is one of like there's a variety of reasons why I asked you to do this podcast. Like obviously, I'm very fascinated by your work. We both share a love of Renaissance fairs. We've been comedy buddies, and also like on a personal level. So when I saw you in Tampa, like as you know, and we don't have to go into a ton of details, but I was going through a very very rough part of my life.
Right.
Honestly, probably the worst patch of my life I've had thus far, knock on wood. And I was going through a really bad breakup. And, obviously, the details. We talked about it. And I still vividly remember you gave me like just the best assessment out of literally anybody, and I'm talking like, I mean, I talked to psychiatrists and stuff, and
Wow.
like you sat me down and you were like, "Okay, you're acting this way because you feel guilt for XYZ, and this is why you're behaving that way because deep down you do still care about this person even though you know you can't be with them, and so you're feeling guilt and this is why you're acting that way and this is why you're putting it all on yourself, and you need to learn that it shouldn't be all on you." And you weren't making it out like I was some, like I was some perfect person or anything like that. Like it's not like you were
Exciting.
sugarcoating. Yeah, but you were like just telling me what I needed to hear as far as like, my ex and as far as all the people around me and the direction my life was going. And you said to me, you said one day you're just going to go through pretty much an entire day and you're going to realize I haven't thought about that at all today. And you're going to know that you're healing and you're almost at the other end of all this. And I just remember like feeling like, dude, on my drive back, because I think I was staying in like somewhere near Orlando and I just drove to Tampa to hang out with you for the day. But I remember like I cried on the drive back just because of all
Wow.
the stuff you and I talked about. Like it was really freaking heavy. And you just like told me exactly what I needed to hear. It was very both comforting and necessary. We hugged, and I drove back and I mean, I heard that conversation in my head for a long time after. And
Wow.
when that day finally came, and it did, I mean, I thought of you first. I'm
No
like,
shit.
"Oh, I didn't think about this at all today." And
Wow.
and it's like, so I gotta at like, why, how are you so good at that?
So
Like, what
I,
is it?
I I remember like a little bit more detail what I said to you.
Okay.
So it's definitely like I haven't thought of that person anymore. But it's like when your life feels so out of disarray and you don't know what's going to be next for you. It's like that feeling of when like you finally get it back and you're finally like in a new apartment or in a new house and you like have a long day and you throw your bag or your briefcase or your like gym shoes or whatever the case may be and you're like on your thing on the thing that you now is a brand new floor or a brand new bed or whatever. It's like your brand new life. And like you, that is behind you now because you are home, you are safe, you are in your zone, your new zone that you've created. Like there's nothing better than that feeling having bounced back from something detrimental like a breakup, like That is the best feeling in the world. And that is life. That is life of like climbing and climbing and climbing and crap, everything went to shit. And then you build yourself back up. And then you have that moment again where you're like, here I am, I'm back, baby. You know what I mean? And then who knows? Something might happen. Tragedy strikes again. But it's a constant like roller coaster of like, it's awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome. It's not awesome anymore. How do I fix it? And then you fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like it's that journey of fixing it that is what life is worth living for, I guess.
Yeah, no, totally, man. But
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, yeah, you really just unpacked it in a way that it was like it was very like I'm like, man, have you been going through the past few months with me? Because you
No,
really nailed it.
I had just been there. I saw you in me. I saw where you were, you know,
Mhm.
and that's what helped me. That thought, that like that, oh crap, I haven't thought of this person today. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
recognizing that pivotal moment and looking forward to that pivotal moment, you know, like that is yeah, I just wanted to help you.
No, no, no. I mean, hey, man, I appreciate it and so much. I mean, I really the one, and I think I told you this at the time, but like, and I still feel this way. Like the one really, amazing lemonade out of lemons moment during that whole thing, and I think this is a universal life experience. You really find out who your friends are,
Yeah.
and you really find out just how great your friends are. I mean, just people who like I wouldn't have expected it, who were just like, if you need anything, like tell me and stuff. And like it was just, I mean, in some ways it was such a painful moment, but in other ways, just such a freaking beautiful moment because it made somebody appreciate everything just so much. And I've tried to like always hold on to that, like as I've gone through life, because it's like there are other quote unquote breakup moments. Like I've been
Mhm.
through some other ones since. We all have.
Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that you've held on to that. I'm deeply touched that impacted you. That's like, I guess it worked.
It definitely worked. No, it definitely worked. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I will still make 1,000,005 mistakes in my life, but that's not on you. Like that's like it's like you definitely did your part big time. I hope I can pay it forward in some way. You know what I mean? Like I really hope, and maybe I have. I don't know, but it's like one of those things. Like if I had somebody close to me going through a breakup. I would seriously like my bar would be, I hope I can help them as well as Todd helped me.
Oh my God, dude! Thank you for saying that. That's really sweet.
You're welcome.
That's
Thank
cool,
you.
man. Oh shit, I'm all getting all choked up.
So, so what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start a career in the Renaissance world? I mean, first they found out that it's possible. Now they're asking how to do it. What advice would you give them?
Um, have very low expectations of um, not of succeeding, but of like getting everything you want right away. Uh, it is a really difficult way to live because you're constantly changing and uh, things go wrong all the time. So, like, it's a delicate balance of like taking care of yourself and remembering to take care of yourself and taking care of the things that you own. And also knowing that you could lose everything in any moment. I've been doing this for like 12 years and I've seen people lose and gain everything in the same month.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like you get something, you get a brand new trailer, your house, you're living in a house, and then you go to the next place and you flip it,
Hmm.
or like
Wow.
yeah, or like I mean, you've been on the road, like you have the whole cargo trailer full of stuff, and you leave it parked in the wrong spot, and that cargo trailer disappears.
Yeah.
Like it's everything in your life is so replaceable. Um, so I guess to answer your question, I would say come with very little and don't have a lot of expectations, because it's very difficult, and you have to be able to chameleon yourself to every situation put in front of you. And not, and I've been doing this for 12 years, like I said, and it's still that way. It hasn't gotten any easier. I've just gotten better at chameleoning myself to different scenarios. But it's still like I'm working harder than I've ever had to work in my entire life to maintain, this for my family. Um, so it also depends on what you want to do too. Like if you want to be an entertainer, like put together something and keep trying and meet people, and you probably have to do something cheapy peepy at first, but it's like constantly growing and rebuilding your stuff and upgrading. Like you start down here and you get something a little nicer, and then you get something a little nicer, and but there's a reason why not everybody does this for a living. There's a reason why people have stability with a 9 to 5 job and live in an apartment, live in the city. Like I would recommend selling everything and starting from the ground up is what I would recommend.
Nice.
That's my advice.
So what would you say to somebody in my situation? Somebody, like I really want to do Lucian. I want it to be part of my, little creative world, but it's probably not ever going to be the exclusive part of my creative world. I have other, projects in LA, like film stuff I'm working on, blah, blah, blah. What would you say to someone like me who is, just trying to get a show in that world?
It's the same thing. I would go with very little expectation, and you might have to do some free shit for a little bit, but that's like every, job in entertainment, that's comedy, that's acting, that's like, music, that's everything. If you're good enough, it'll happen to you.
Let me ask you this though, as somebody who has experience in the stand-up comedy world and in this Renaissance world too, one of the things I mean, and I still am very much a novice in this world. I've only done, as of the recording of this, I've only done one fair with Lucian. I freaking loved it so much. It was such a cool weekend, and I felt like the show was in an entirely different place at the end of that weekend.
That's
and
awesome.
I was like, I got to get more fairs. I got to keep doing this. Like I got bit by the bug, I guess. And it reminded me of the same feeling I had when I went on the road as a comic for the first time, where it's like I felt like a different comic after the week was over, and I'm like, I got to keep doing this. I got to keep doing this, and like so there are some parallels, but I have found in my experience so far, everybody, comparatively speaking, like I feel like in the Renaissance world, everybody was sort of like, oh, who's this guy? This is something we don't know about. That's interesting. Whereas in the stand-up world, and of course I'm generalizing, but there's a little more of like, who's this guy? Fuck him.
Yeah, get in line.
Yeah, like I feel like it was just a lot like nicer. Like it was just a lot more. Everybody in the Renaissance world seems to want to see everybody else do well. Generally, I mean, there's scumbags everywhere, and I'm sure of that. But it's like it seems like overall, generally, there really is, like you said earlier, like a community, and everybody kind of wants to lift everybody up.
Dude, remember a long time ago, I visited you in Pittsburgh when you were living there, and you brought me out to the comedy scene, and we went and did a bunch of mics and stuff. And that was my experience there. Everybody there was like, oh, you're from out of town? Let me build you up. Like every place we went, dude, like, and then like I was with you too. So that definitely helped because you knew all those people. But like, you're talking about like that support system that's never there at any of these, but there's pockets of places in comedy that are like that.
Sure. Yeah. No,
know, but yeah, that's what I was thinking about when you were saying that. It's like it is super supportive. They want to see people succeed. They love new stuff. If you're like a vendor selling mugs right next to a stage, and they put you in the same spot every single year, and they put the same act next to your stage every single year, you're a vendor that sells mugs. you could do that act probably better than they could.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know what I'm saying?
No,
So
I
like,
hear
so people are like, oh hell yeah, something new, like like, but
Oh,
that
okay.
but
So
like,
that's part of it. They like new things.
yeah, but that's like that's kind of like rough to say. I guess I really don't 100% mean that. Like, but there's definitely like we're always like new. It's always fun when there's something new that happens and somebody's working harder on the thing that they've already done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. Well, it's kinda like, like you mentioned the Pittsburgh comedy scene, which this was like going back, I mean, God, this was over 10 years ago.
15 years ago or something like
Yeah,
that, 12
yeah,
years
this was a
ago.
long time ago. So the scene is probably a lot bigger now than it was back
Right,
then, because like
right,
stand-up's
right,
gotten more popular or whatever. But that's a little I guess what I was more referring to is like if I had to email a club booker or a Renaissance
right,
entertainment director, I'd much rather deal with the Renaissance entertainment director.
right,
Everyone I've dealt with so far, they've looked at Lucian and they're like, "Oh, this is cool. No one else is doing it." And even people who were like, "We don't have room for you right now," they were like, "Please check in next year." And I
right,
got the vibe it was like sincere, like they
right.
genuinely would like to eventually give me a shot. They just only have so many spots,
Yeah,
whereas like in the stand-up world, it's kind of just like, yeah, can you sell tickets? No. Can you do this? Can you do, oh, you want to do time at my club? Fuck off. Like,
right.
and again, I'm generalizing. There have been some club owners out there that I'm indebted to for the rest of my life with how much they've helped me. But,
Yeah,
like generally speaking, I just got like like the kind of quote unquote industry side of it was a little more warm than what
for
I was
sure.
used to.
Yeah, I would say that's like the case, but there's exceptions to that, you know?
Sure. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Uh,
for sure.
so what do you want to leave people with? Where can people go to learn more about the food vendor and where are some of the fairs? I mean, I guess like I don't know when this is going to air exactly, but yeah, like broadly speaking, 2023, 2024, where are some of the fairs people can find you?
Let's go with 2024 for right now.
Okay.
So we're at the Brevard Renaissance Fair outside of Orlando. We're at the Georgia Renaissance Fair outside of Atlanta. We're at the Kentucky Renaissance Fair outside of out of Louisville. I say Louisville. If you're from there, people go Louisville, but I say
Louisville.
Louisville because named after King Lowell. And then we're at the Bristol Renaissance Fair, the Southern California Renaissance Fair, and the Carolina Renaissance Fair.